Hey guys, how are you doing today? Today we are going to be interviewing Annika. She's a player for the Houston Dash, so I'm very excited to have her on. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Can you
I'm
hear me
great.
okay?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
No, of course. I'm so excited. I'm glad we got it to work out.
I
Sorry, our
know.
schedules have been, I don't know, we changed our schedule. Well, now it's like so much more consistent, which is really nice. So we
That's
changed
good.
like almost every week when we were starting here just because we didn't know with the flow and everything. And
Yeah,
obviously with COVID, we didn't really ever know if like, okay, we could come in the next day. But no, it's been all good so far. So like I'm so excited. But I think I can turn my screen, but I don't know how to do this. No, wait, that's not what I want. But if I do this, am I sideways?
yeah.
So weird. Yeah, I haven't done this stuff. I'm like really bad with technology, so this is like perfect.
I've been getting
But
used to it as I've been doing more and more interviews too, so don't worry.
yeah, you
First
look really
friend
good, and
request
then
even went through.
yeah, you look good. I'm just over here, just like getting back from practice. I'm like, maybe I need some like natural lighting or something. But no,
But
thanks for
yeah,
having me.
of course. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you want to start by like giving a little bit background on yourself, like where you went to school, like what position you play, like how you got into the sport, like all that?
Yeah, of course. I started playing when I was younger. I actually played a few other sports too. Got involved basketball, swimming, soccer, softball. And yeah, just kind of mixed it up. Actually ended up sticking with soccer. I was playing basketball and actually swimming up to high school. And then swam my first year of high school and played soccer, but basketball was too much. And that's kind of when it got started. I actually have some high school pictures I'll show you here. I have this like
Oh
wall,
yes.
reminds me. That's me. So funny. But yeah, we could go through my collage of walls. That kind of more tells my story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I actually went to Zionsville High School, from Indiana, so around Carmel. People more know of Carmel. And then so I went to Zionsville High School, loved playing obviously high school soccer, was super
Mm-hmm.
competitive. I think the refs knew me for being crazy. That was probably the one thing. I had siblings, and the refs would always come up to my siblings, be like, "Oh no, like, are you like Annika?" And I was like, "That's so rude," but you know what? It's fine. Um, I'd always give them a hard time about their job, but I knew they were
Mm-hmm.
doing the best they could. Just kind of in the moment thing. That's kind of what I was known for in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Worked on my attitude a little when I lost. Then actually moved to Connecticut for played at UConn. I think I committed early sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
and then played there for 2 years. Actually, my first year I had like a stress fracture, stress reaction in my foot, so I actually didn't end up playing my first year, which was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
then ended up playing redshirting my first year, and then medical redshirted my first year, and then I ended up playing my second year, and we did really well. We won our in season out of seed conference tournament, and then obviously didn't do so well in the NCAA tournament, but we were a really good team. A few girls are actually playing in the NWSL now who are on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel Hill's playing for Chicago. Then I decided to transfer to Butler, and these are some of my Butler friends. Shout out to Butler. I saw Paige on there, so I have to find her on my wall, but that's like one of my Butler friends. There's Paige right there. She was on there. She's playing for Sky Blue. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to Butler. So there's Paige. There's like a ton more pictures with her on here. But yeah, she was one of my besties, and she's actually playing in Sky Blue. Um, so she graduated a year before me, so she's been such an amazing help, and obviously Rachel too. But yeah, transferred
Mm-hmm.
to Butler, personal reasons, and just felt like it was either I need to stop playing soccer or God was kind of pulling me somewhere else. But ended up with a really good team at Butler. I think the culture really just allowed me to flourish and just be who I was. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
start easily. Actually didn't start and play my first 3 games. It was very humbling. They were building a really good program, and I just wasn't
Yeah.
ready to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then was really cool. After that, just after like 3 games, got in, played, and really didn't step off the field. And I was surrounded by really good girls. Obviously, I wouldn't say we were the most talented team in the world. We had talented players. For example, Paige was super talented. But we just like worked hard. Just blue collar, we were known for. And then it was really cool because, like I said, I had that kind of connection. Paige wanted to go play pro, so that was someone we were always ride or die together. But
Mhm.
yeah, and then the other girls were super supportive too. Yeah, there's a few girls who I played with who are still playing in at Butler right now, and they're literally, I think, 6-0. They're killing teams four to
Oh
zero. So it's
wow,
like it's
that's so
super
incredible.
cool. Yeah, so like my friends, just a few of them, like Julia Leonard, Taylor Crow. A few of them are still playing, and they're just like absolutely dominating, which is really fun to see the program just continue to um, lift off. And obviously, that's a testament for Paige being the first player from Butler to go to the NWSL, and
Mhm.
then people just following in her footsteps.
Yeah.
Also, just like my coaching staff were a huge reason why I'm here today. So then I
Mhm.
ended up in Sweden, but before that, I actually put my name into the draft. High hopes of getting drafted. I had a good year my last year, and had a few conversations with a few coaches before the draft, and didn't end up getting drafted. I actually went to the draft. So big thing out there: believe in yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to go and experience it, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Character
And
building regardless. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so like God just had a different route for me, and I just think what really helped me was just like my community and my family, but also not allowing that, okay, I just didn't get chosen for this specific thing. Like I'm not gonna just quit what I love to do.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go on the path that God had me taking and not give up. So actually, before that, I got invited into preseason with the Dash. So I actually ended up heading to the Dash. Just what felt good. They're praying on it, seeking the advice of very wise people, and then did really well my first week there, and then COVID happened. So that's kind of crazy. So then,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like insane. They sent all the trial players home because I was just a trial player. Um, for all those people who listen to this, it's like you can make it. Like you don't have to be the straight path. There's no straight path for anyone. Everyone goes through different things.
Mhm.
But yeah, then got we all got sent home, the trial players, COVID, and then was in a waiting pattern for about 2 months, but was training really hard.
Mhm.
And then ended up getting a call from one of a really good team in Sweden, Gothenburg FC, Kovori Göteborg, and yeah, went to Sweden in June and had a few injuries there, so I actually tore my calf twice. It was really
Ooh.
frustrating. Yeah, so I went on loan to a team that needed help. By that time, it just wasn't gonna work. Honestly, getting back with one of the best teams in the world when you're injured and you're new, not
Yeah.
injured once, but injured twice. Like I just needed something different. It was either
Yeah.
that or like I was like, oh gosh, like I might just go home. Like this is frustrating.
Yeah.
And then got sent to the second division, played a few games, or no, played for one of the teams in the second division. It's called Sunano. And actually, my teammate Macy Miller was there. So it was like a godsend. I was like, this is what I need mentally to refresh my mind, physically to get healthy. And they were absolutely amazing. I'm talking about great people. Obviously, was just surrounded by Macy Miller, who's just absolutely amazing. So she was
Mhm.
super helpful.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, surrounded by amazing people. And then I randomly I was supposed to go back to Gothenburg. I signed a 2-year contract with them, but that was part of the reason of me going on the loan so I could go back and be fit. And then after that, was going back to Gothenburg, and then played about like 13, 14 games. So it was really good, got really good playing time. Actually played a new position. I was playing the fullback instead of center back.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, got a text from the head coach here and just asked me what my plans were and told him I was supposed to go back to Gothenburg, told him about my injuries. And then he kind of told me that, hey, like I love to see you're doing well now, but like we'd love to have you with the dash. And so at that point, I was conflicted. I was like, do I go back to the team that I didn't even really get a chance at because the second I got back into things, I got injured?
Yeah.
Or do I literally go fulfill my dreams to play in the NWSL? And the most important thing was confiding in several people, not a lot, but just several who really knew me best. Family, boyfriend, and friends and coaches. And prayed about it. That was most importantly what kind of pushed me towards going to the dash. And here I am now. So yeah, that was like literally so long, but super
That's a fascinating
grateful.
story. Like, I know
Yeah, it's
COVID, like with
crazy.
sports changed so much, and
Yeah,
like everyone's like college seasons they're thrown off. Like, I'm sure
yeah,
your seasons were thrown off, and now you're getting the chance to like finally get into things and start training more consistently, and like finally have a like solid schedule.
yeah. It's so nice
Yeah,
to like
COVID literally
actually have a schedule.
threw everybody's story for a loop. So, yeah,
No, yeah, it's crazy. It was like, I mean, so many unforeseen challenges, but like in that time, I was so grateful for the team in Sweden, Gothenburg, that like sadly folded, but they were able to start a new club. We actually ended up winning the Swedish Cup, which was absolutely amazing. So that's the first division. And so it was hard being a part of that, but really not being a part of that. But I had some really good people who made me feel like a part of that, even though I was sat alone. Um, so that was really cool, just surrounded by the right people there. And I'm super grateful for all the experiences that happened in Sweden because I just feel like it really did prepare me to come back for the dash. And so that was like really cool. Um, Sorry, I see my friend on there. Maeve, hey. But yeah, but no, like here I am now and it's so funny. I like think about like my journey and I just look at all these pictures like in front of me. I have like this collage I'll show you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I feel like this couldn't have been like I couldn't have written this story for my life, you know. That's my
mm-hmm.
boyfriend. But like it's like for me, like through my faith, that's always been so important for me and I just it's like astonishing. I really just say like I'm a bit God shocked and now I'm playing on they won the Houston Dash won the championship for the Challenge Cup last year and I'm just like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, I'm playing with the best players in the world. Like this is crazy. So, yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. So we're gonna take it a little bit back in time, and do you want to talk about like your college recruitment and like what that process was like for you?
Oh yeah, of course. Oh my. Okay, so I played at Carmel United. Um, Actually was at Zionsville first, but then I had a coach seek me out, and then I moved to Carmel United, and then actually at the end of my years there, we were called oh geez, what's it called now? Indiana Finer. So they merged Westfield and Carmel United, and that was huge because actually I think it was there for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years when the merge happened. But I was committed by then. A few girls weren't, so that was super stressful for them. Our team kind of broke up a little bit, but like in the midst of that, I committed. Geez, I can't remember what like U16 or like I think it was like U. Honestly, it was probably it's like U15, U16. I was 14 years old when I committed to UConn.
Oh, that's
Um,
pretty early.
yeah, it is pretty early. I think I was the second person to commit on my team. Um, my coach was like, "What are you doing? Like, you're getting like an amazing opportunity to play at this school. Like, you need to take it." And to be honest, like, I wish I would have thought about it a little more. But at the end of the day, it was like my decision. But the recruitment process isn't easy. And I'm sure it's not e easy now anymore because
Yeah.
I feel like there's more rules, but less rules and more complicated rules. Like certain coaches can only go to certain, I don't know how it works, but I was talking to my college coaches at Butler about it, and it's just like wild to me, but maybe they're trying to protect the players a little more, which is like
Mhm.
optimal. And I think they should really try to do that.
Yeah.
But I just remember I would send out like 100 college emails with my dad. Like I was insane. I was like, I don't really know what I want. I don't know where I want to go. Like let's just like outreach to anybody and everybody.
Mhm.
Um, And yeah, like that's really what I did. Came down to like went on a few visits. I will say, make sure you visit your school. Anybody listening, like you just
Yeah.
never know. You got to get that like, and if you didn't get the feeling first and you really think it's right for you, go back and visit it again. I know it's sometimes a hassle, but it's really important. You hope to be spending your next 4 years there. Actually, I spent 5 years in college, but honestly, it was better to spend 5 years. Stay in college. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else kind of happened in that time. I remember my parents were huge supporters, but at the same time, I wanted it to be my decision.
Hmm.
And I really think that's so important. Young females, young males growing up through the process that they really make this like not about their parents because at the end of the day, if they don't want to play and they just wanted to play at club level, collegiate is very different than club. So like it's okay. Like it's totally okay, but if they want to, it needs to surface more from them and their parents can support them. With like an open mind and open heart, but the most important thing is it just doesn't come from the parents. And that was key when I was going through my process. I was just like, I love you guys, but you can be there to support me and maybe say good job every once in a while. But yeah, it just means more when you do it yourself, have the
Yeah.
conversations. Like I would so encourage anyone who's going through the process to pick up the phone. I think maybe they're allowed to, or write the email, and just be yourself. Like, right? Some of
Yeah.
the days, like you can be the best soccer player, but if you're, I think the most sought after trait in the younger players is are obviously, yeah, you have to be talented, but it's work ethic and coachability. So that was like literally your attitude, and like just like your mantra that you what do you want? Like how are you going to work and everything like that? Because it's so simple to obviously build on talent, but like if
Yeah.
you don't want to change or you don't want to work hard, obviously no coach is going to want that in their
Yeah.
culture. So that was really important. Just being yourself and being open and willing to have those conversations. But yeah, that's kind of my college. If you have any other questions about that, go ahead. But it's been
Yeah.
so long.
And like you also transferred too, and I know that like transferring as like a student athlete is also kind of a complicated process because not only it's transfer is not only complicated with like college credits and classes and like trying to figure out like what class like what requirements you filled out and like just trying to figure all that out, but like I'm sure it's like
Yeah.
a student like an athlete like that was even more complicated.
Yeah, honestly, like um it was complicated, but I went through some things in college that I like really needed to like get myself away from there. Also, to be fully honest, I was playing 20 minutes and then playing a full 90 minutes, and then I was playing whatever 30 minutes and then whatever full 90-minute championship game. And I learned how to be a great teammate in that time. I think that was so important for me. Just a player who didn't sit the bench really ever. And then it just humbles you, right? It's like you need to
Mm-hmm.
learn from some people who are playing in front of you right now, or just learn from what the coaches want or don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And it just taught me how to be a really good teammate, which is so appreciative of that. But at the end of the day, mentally, I knew I needed to like there's a difference between enduring until you're submerged and enduring until you absorb just enough. And I was like, okay, this is enough. And I just didn't want to, let's say like basically my love for soccer, and I was like so obsessed with soccer was like filtering out. And that's just not what I wanted.
Yeah.
Also, it's just hard for me being away from home. So when I actually switched, a big goal for me was to be closer to home. Now, the transfer process was really interesting. And if my Butler coaches ever listen to this, they'll laugh at me. I emailed them that I was transferring because my dad's like, just do it. They're close to home. And I was like, no, like I don't want to go Butler. Like I just came from a top 20 school and I was like, I don't want to go to a bad school or whatnot. And they were bad. They just won the Big East, but I was just like, it was just like I don't know, like I was like, I don't want to go to Butler. And then literally they emailed me back within I think like 1 or 2 minutes. And I was like, all right, I got to check it out. And then I just
Mm-hmm.
realized like they've been growing the program for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they made the process really easy. Everyone's gonna have a different process, but I think the cool thing was that I'd already been through the recruiting process once, so I knew exactly. I like made a list of the things that I exactly wanted to ask and the things I exactly wanted to know. And wherever you go, like the coaches, if they're just talking the whole time, you should really start questioning them.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this, like they're trying to recruit you. It should be a lot about like, okay, who you are. And also like they want you to ask tough questions, and that was really important. And to be honest, I am a talker, and it was so funny because I asked some tough questions at Butler, and actually my parents came along to that meeting. And I just remember I think it was my mom or dad who was crying after the meeting because of just how well spoken Terry, Rob, and Rob were, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like super helpful that they were so well spoken. They wanted to take care of me. And yeah, it's just because they knew me. I asked them like, why didn't they recruit me before? And they knew I had a big personality. So they were just like, maybe Butler wasn't ready for you before, but now we're ready. And
Mm-hmm.
just we just grew a relationship. And I think some people fear having that relationship with their coaches, but like if you can gain that relationship and trust, work ethic, and your attitude right away, it just helps you, honestly. And they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be your best friends. And like now it's cool because I would think my coaches would say like we're really close now, but like when I was playing, they're my coaches, right? They're not my best
Yeah.
friends, but I think it's so important that like people don't what's the word, they don't just get stuck, right? And I went to a sports psych after I went to my first year of UConn, and it was my decision to go back. Actually, a lot of people didn't think I was going to go back. It was my decision. And the cool thing was my sports psych, his name's Dr. Carr, he actually is with Green Bay now, the Packers, and he's just
Mm-hmm.
like, it's actually your choice what you do, right? Like this is your life. Obviously your actions and decisions affect people around you, but it's like you're choosing to do this. You're choosing to go back there. And at the end of the day, if you choose to leave, that's still your choice, right? And you can't control everything else. So I just encourage those people who maybe feel like they're stuck. Obviously, you want to, like I said, like try to absorb yourself. And then if you're submerged, then you need to move somewhere else, right? And that's what it was about for me. And I think it's so important to understand that it's not easy. It's not easy to transfer. And I was having a very hard few weeks, my first weeks at Butler, and I was like, okay, but the great thing is like I'm in control. If I want to transfer again, I can transfer again. Um, but I think it's just like it's okay to humble yourself if something, and there's been a lot of things that haven't really worked out the way I thought
Mm-hmm.
they should have worked out. But like it's like obviously God's in control, and that's like literally just like mind and move on to the next things. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's all like insanely good advice. Like even for just like picking a school in general, even if you're not like a prospective athlete, like you have to make decisions. You have to make the best decision for yourself, and like you have to
Oh yeah.
think about like your future and like what that's good for you. And like you said, like your decisions are going to impact people around you, but ultimately, like you have to do what's going to be best for your career, whether that's in sports or somewhere else. So I think that's
Yeah,
all like
no, of
really, really
course.
great advice for like school and like figure out what your path is to whatever it is that you're going to go to.
No,
Um,
yeah.
so moving away from, yeah. So what is your favorite thing about being an athlete, but also like when you were like in college, what was your favorite thing about being a student athlete? So kind of like a two-part
Um,
question.
I could say missing class. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But missing class is fun sometimes. But on competing, I think I kind of told you just like stepping out of class, and I really think God gave me soccer as just like a safe haven for me. Just like I can go there and just just channel who I really am and also channel the way I feel like I'm able to serve people best, which is in the sport. Um, and just like
Mhm.
encouraging my teammates and whatnot. Honestly, my favorite part was putting on my cleats, seeing my teammates every day and competing. I think if you're an athlete and you don't like to compete, you're in the wrong area, right?
Yeah.
But I know it's crazy, but it's like we think about it like that's such a gift that we get to compete every day. Like for lack of better words, I'm kicking a soccer ball for my weight. So it just like humbles you to the fact that like
Mhm.
had tons of other coaches who just enforce that culture too. And I'm so
Mhm.
competitive that some days at the end of trainings, I would beat myself apart for a bad training, and I still do that today. But that competitive edge is what kind of keeps you going. And the
Yeah.
great thing is, like, once you like don't really have that, I'm not saying you can't play soccer or any other sports. Like sometimes it's like, okay, like maybe this isn't for me anymore, and you ask those questions and you move forward. But like I think that was the most fun thing for me, but also, like I said, just being around such amazing people. When I went to Sweden, I just realized that like soccer is so much more than just a ball at your foot. It's like creating relationships with your teammates around you. And like, for example, like when I was in Sweden, just so nice to have community because a lot of times I felt like an outcast. And whatnot. But like it was so cool, like having like teammates who just like always had your back and whatnot, and just made you feel better, right?
Yeah.
I think just like your teammate can make or break you. Um, and that was really cool that I got to be a part, and I've gotten to be a part of several teams with some really amazing people that are still my friends today.
Yeah, no, like I know that like the relationships that you make with your teammates can sometimes like be lifelong relationships, and like the support that people get from their team is like it's unlike
Yeah.
anything else. Like you spend so much time with these people, you overcome so much, like you overcome so much, and you go through like such a unique process and journey with your team, and it's like it really just ties everybody together.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's so awesome. It's like I love soccer, but at the end of the day, like I know at some point God's gonna say, soccer's done. And then at the end of the day, no one's gonna remember me for how many completed passes I had. They're gonna remember the relationships, right?
yeah,
So like that competitiveness that we all bring to the table actually creates stronger bonds. It's like a
mm-hmm.
brotherhood, sisterhood. So he said it best, like it's really about community, it's really about relationships. And gee, like I said, I can just look at my wall up here of all my besties who
Yeah,
they're part of the reason I'm and 100% part of the reason I'm here today. And obviously I don't have a shrine of all my coaches up here, but like they're like relationships too, and my family, my boyfriend, like all those people, like it's like your relationships in life, I feel like is the most important thing. Just like loving
yeah.
other people just gives you so much more gratitude for life in general. But you said it best. I like that.
Yeah, and then moving to like the other end of it, like what has been the most challenging part about being a student athlete and then being an athlete, like a professional athlete?
Yeah, in college. Honestly, I was really competitive with myself off the field too. I would say type A personality. It's funny, but um, honestly, the hardest thing I would say it's hard. Sometimes, like, it would be managing social life because all I wanted to do was go kick a soccer ball and then finish my homework as fast as possible so I could focus on soccer. But like over time, I realized like, oh gosh, like I really need to build relationships. I think finding that balance, the school balance is always hard, right? But like that's kind of
Yeah,
what you're getting yourself into anyway. You know that's going to be hard. But it's like again, ask the hard questions. Like we had so many people supporting us, willing to help us, and like at UConn and at Butler to make sure we are still getting that education because that's so important. Because 0.001% of us are going to go on to play professionally. And at the end of the day, I didn't know if that was in God's plan for me. Of course, I was like, this is my plan. Like, I'm not doing anything else. But I think just managing that and then just like filtering the emotions that like being a competitive sports athlete really gives you. I think a lot
Mhm.
of people like kind of shy away from the conversation of mental health, but it's like I think that was like a struggle for me sometimes because sometimes I would find my worth more as like an athlete, just an athlete, not a student, not as a just college person, but really as just like an athlete, a
Yeah.
soccer player. And I think that was probably the most challenging thing for me. It's like your identity is not in like, I don't know, like your sports performance. It's really in like for me, I believe it's like just like in who God, I'm like God's child. Like that's so important to just like feel that, know that. And I think just being able to balance that when you got to that next step where like you're just surrounded by eat, play, sleep, whatever, soccer, and then obviously get your homework done, it's really hard to just remember like, okay, you're a person too.
Yeah.
Um, I still struggle with that to this day. But again, it comes back to that competitive attitude. But I think like people don't know that they struggle with their identity until maybe soccer's gone or whatnot, or maybe soccer is all they had. I realized that in Sweden. I realized like in college, I always had like things surrounding me that actually like allowed me to dive into deeper parts of who I really was, not just like the soccer player. And
Mhm.
that helped with like the identity, but also like I think like when I got to Sweden, I was like, oh my gosh, like soccer's gonna drive me insane if this is all I do. Like I need to find my other purpose because what I do is I get home and I just think about all the things like I did wrong. And that's like another thing. Like if we can be more positive with ourselves, and honestly, sometimes I wish I did this in college, and just realize like our worth isn't in our sport, right? It's
Yeah.
like the relationships and whatnot. So I would say that was like the most challenging thing for me to
Mhm.
just balance like my identity, like, and that's like a
Yeah.
mental health thing that like I'm open about sharing because something I still struggle with, like I said, but like, I think it just becomes hard and I think more athletes should talk about it in a sense. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, mental health in athletics is incredibly important. And I don't think it's talked about enough. I know like Kevin Love is kind of a big advocate for mental
Yeah, he's
health.
awesome.
Yeah, there should be definitely more out there because like balancing everything with especially being a student athlete in
Hmm.
college, like getting your homework done,
Yeah.
doing all of that, like while also trying to like you said, have a social life, find other things outside that you're passionate about. It's really difficult when like being an athlete takes so much time and so much commitment.
Hmm.
And yeah, like making sure that like you still have that like part of yourself is like that like loves things outside of soccer or whatever sport that you're
Yeah,
playing, so important because you can't just
of course.
because like you don't want it to consume you because when it's gone, like what do you have left?
Exactly. And I ask myself that question every day. I don't want to just be a soccer player. I want to be a person who's serving others, serving my teammates, like having a positive attitude. And like sometimes we lose that in our sports and then we take it out on people in love. So I think it's like every day improving, just tapping into different areas of your life, like you said, is so important.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, moving on from that, so how did so I know COVID has impacted like so many people's season, like professionally, collegiate, high school. How did it impact your season, and how have you guys kind of like progressed as the pandemic has gone on as a team?
Yeah, so actually, when I was with Houston last March, it obviously affected my journey, right? But this was
Mm-hmm.
for the right reason. I actually got to go home for like 3 months and spend like quarantine with my family. I'm from a family of seven, and then we have married people, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and then I
Mm-hmm.
have a niece. So honestly, for me, it was a little blessing in disguise. I got to train every day. I have like I'm just grateful to have a really, basically we call it the Schmidt staycation. And my parents have just built a house around like things we love to do. We're so
Mm-hmm.
active. And we just kind of all came together and just worked together all the time. And that was like
Mm-hmm.
really special because like honestly, I know people can just pick at COVID is so terrible. And of course it's terrible and whatnot. But like I think people really need to reflect on the fact that like, gosh, like some of these people never get time with their families. And like it's like a lot of people have gotten more time with their families. And of course people are stressed out and whatnot. But like I think if we could just find the positive in that. But when I went to Sweden, it affected us a little. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of rules in Sweden. I
Mhm.
never had to wear a mask other than when flying. It was kind of
Mhm.
crazy. But yeah, so then I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, it really didn't affect us much in Sweden, to be honest. And I was just hearing about it in the US, but really, really naive to the fact because I just couldn't turn on the news and keep hearing like, what's the next COVID story? And it was like depressing, honestly. And I'm sure
Yeah.
that's how a lot of people felt, right? But like I just wasn't in the midst of like that, and that was like probably ignorant of me to do, not really pay attention to the news, but it was kind of like a good thing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I came back here. Obviously, they had the Challenge Cup, which is super awesome. I was following the Dash, following my friends Paige and Rach, and watching them do well. And then obviously Dash got to the Challenge Cup final, and then they won. So that was really cool to watch them do that. The underdog
Mhm.
team. Obviously, a huge testament to their culture and the coaches and those players. They really did an amazing job of shaping that team into one of the bottom teams to one basically the best team. So
Yeah.
now I'm here. Um, and so funny. So I got COVID the first week I got here. So I actually had to quarantine.
Uh,
That was crazy. I was like, I definitely got it in Sweden at some point.
mhm.
And then no, I got it here, or maybe right before I left. And yeah, so I quarantined, which is a bummer. But yeah, honestly, knock on wood, we haven't had any more COVID cases, and the league's been doing an amazing job. We get tested twice a week. Um, yeah, and hopefully we'll soon all get the vaccine. It really
Yeah.
hasn't affected us much, honestly. There's some things we have to do differently, like wear a mask, obviously, but honestly, it hasn't affected us much. Like, we're really honestly blessed to be able to come out here and play our sport because the reason we can do that is we have so many people. Like, for example, Juan is our janitor. That keeps everything so clean. So, like, we literally don't have to worry about coming in and there being an issue or, like, just like,
Mhm.
I don't know, just like, I would say sickness lying around, but that's like a metaphor in a sense. But our whole staff has been working so hard. Our medical staff is absolutely amazing here in Houston.
Mhm.
So like testament to them. And I just can't tell you we've had really problems. Like honestly, like I said, other than wearing a mask, there are some things that are frustrating. Like, okay, we can't get certain refs if we want to just have a random scrimmage or something like that. But it's been
Yeah.
awesome. Our coaches have stepped in. So that's been fun too for
Mhm.
for them refing. Maybe not
Mhm.
fun for them because we just some people just yell at them. So, but of
Yeah.
course competitiveness. But no, we really haven't. Honestly, like I'm incredibly blessed and grateful because we really haven't had that many issues. We're following protocols, but it becomes sorry, I think it paused for a second. It becomes a
Mhm.
little bit normalized, like what we have to do on a daily basis, you know? So they're doing
Mhm.
everything they can, and as of now, like we've all been really respectful, so it
Yeah.
hasn't been an issue.
Yeah, no, like that's amazing to hear. Like I know colleges across the country have had to cancel their seasons or postpone their seasons. Like at my college, like fall sports didn't get a season at all, neither did winter sports, and they're now having like 6
Oh
games
yeah,
for spring sports.
that was so sad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like most of our teams haven't played in over a year, and that sucks for them so much because I mean they're still training like for their lifting, but they were going
yeah,
through
it's not the
different
same.
processes with like practices. Like there was like the NCAA's had like a lot, like they had a lot of protocols like for a while. Like it was just like they couldn't even touch the ball. Like they were just kind of running around and like doing
I
running
was
drills.
following that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then they could like pass the ball to themselves or like just like
I don't know.
I don't know, like it was just like
Here we go.
they were being very strict about like the balls and like the equipment and making sure that there was no cross contamination. Athletes are getting tested 3 times a week at my school at least. So it's definitely had a big impact a
Yeah,
lot of different places, but it's good that you guys are still like been able to get like have everything like run normally and like as
yeah,
close to normal as possible.
yeah.
So what's a goal that you have for yourself as an athlete this year?
A goal. I think the biggest thing for me, a goal is just development. Learning to develop under the best players in the world, right? Like I'm playing with players who Sophie Schmidt has 200 caps for Canada. It's insane,
Hmm.
right? I'm playing with huge time names and then also playing with girls who've been in the league for a while. So my goal is development this year. I'm really going to push to develop myself on the field and off the field and learn. It's so cool. Like I get to learn from these girls every single day. It's so insane. I'm just like, how can I every day I go to training and I just like am like a sponge. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, she's playing in the league for like 9 years, 7 years, 6 years. She's playing on the national team for how many years? Like it's just inspiring. These women around me like have worked their butts off. They're like empowering me and I'm just like I think it's really just like allowing this year to be a developing year for me to
Hmm.
grow mentally, physically, and then technically and tactically on the ball. There's so
Hmm.
much these women can teach me, and I'm really humbled, honestly, by that. Um, yeah, that's like a huge thing for me.
Yeah, no, that's like taking all the advice and from the people around you is like really important because like they have different experiences that you've never had, and it's important to like take all that in, like keep all that in mind because you never know what you're going to learn from it, or if you're going to have a similar experience down the road.
No,
And
of
then
course.
finally, one more question that I have for you. What's your advice for students that are like students in high school that are looking to play in college, but like the pandemic is having like significant like impacts on their seasons, like if they might not get to play or like
Of
makes like visiting
course.
colleges really difficult. Some colleges aren't even having in-person visits. So like, what's your advice for students that are kind of going through that right now?
Yeah, no, and I just want to make something clear. Like, I wasn't a part of the Challenge Cup, obviously, with the Dash last year, and they went through a lot of hurdles, but like, I mean, testament to them. Like, I didn't have to deal with really any of that because I was in Sweden, and I've been talking to my college friends at Butler, and I'm just like, geez, like, to be honest, it was like crazy. I was crazy, like, inspired by the fact that no matter what, they were willing to have no idea what was going to happen the next day. No idea if they had to cancel training, but still they just kept moving forward, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the biggest advice that I would give to someone who's stuck right now, just like frustrated about COVID and whatnot. Just remember this will pass. I think the number one thing for me would be like diving into something like for me the most important thing in my life is my faith, diving into something deeper than yourself, right? Even if that's like not your sport right now, it's diving into serving other people in the best way, or how can you best serve yourself. Like if you can't get out and train with your team, then I mean, like, I don't know what the standards are, what you can and can't do. Maybe get a friend, play pickup, or do something in your yard or something like that. Like if you still find happiness in the sport, like find a way to play the sport, right? Um, I know some people obviously are immune compromised and that's really hard for them. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like still just like I think just like opening every opportunity and every door and not closing your mind off to certain things or just because other people are closing the door right now to sports or anything like that or specific team appearances or their season or whatnot. Like you control what you do behind closed doors, right? And like really that's so important. And whether you're an athlete or you're not just, but if you're an athlete or you're a student, you really do continue to control what you do behind closed doors because you can't control this pandemic, right? And no one wanted
Yeah.
this to happen. But I think the best thing that people can do right now is to just accept what's happening, do your best to help in certain scenarios that you can, and also do something that's going to help improve you, not only for yourself, but when you're back with your team or wherever you are, um, you're making others better too, right? I think we're always first to just like point the finger, oh, we can't play because of those people or whatnot. Well, like, okay, maybe you can't, but like, is that something you can control? Just controlling what you can control in this time is so big, and just finding the biggest thing I learned at Butler, just like literally from my coaches, finding the gratefulness in every situation. And really, that's where I'll leave it at because that has changed my perspective so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember there's this one song quote, like this quote from this song that my mom loves. It's from the song Big Yellow Taxi. That's like, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. That
Yes,
quote
exactly.
applies so much to everything happening in the pandemic, and it's like,
Of course.
taught all of us to be like so grateful for what we have now, because like, again, with how unpredictable the pandemic is, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You never know what's going to happen the next day. You never know
Yeah.
when what you have now might go away or might just be changed completely by this pandemic. And luckily, like, we have the vaccine, and like things are starting to become a little bit more predictable, or like there's a finish line in sight, kind of. But like a year ago, that was not the case at all.
Yeah, we always thought we had a finish line, but it just kept getting moved a little further back.
Yeah, just getting pushed back a little bit more and more and more.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
no, just be in the present.
Yeah, those were all the questions that I had. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
No, I mean, like, just be in the present. Also, always here if anyone needs some support or anything like that. I know how it is going through that journey, and just honestly, just because of where I am today, doesn't, like I said at the beginning, like I never had a straight path, and that's so okay. There's some people that you're gonna look at and say they have a straight path, but they didn't. There's something in their life that is gonna move, or something that didn't go right their way. Just focus on your journey, and just, I think, so important, just enjoy the process. If you can find time, like you said, to just be present, right? Just be present in the moment every single day. You're just going to enjoy your life a lot more, and other people are going to enjoy you, and vice versa. But no, I really appreciate you having me on. This has been really cool.
Yeah, no, I had a really great time talking with you. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with me. Yeah, you gave some really, really great advice and great insight, and it was really cool to hear about your story too.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I was actually a sports media major in Butler, so like, this is so cool that you're doing this. I wish I would have done something like this. I'm sure you're like a communication major, journalism. No, or
PR major, sports comm minor.
Okay, cool. So somewhere around those lines.
Yeah,
but like,
sports
that's
journalism,
awesome.
sports PR. We'll see.
Same thing. I'm just kidding.
I'm sure still trying to figure it out.
No, I mean, like, are you playing sports right now, or this is just?
I'm not an athlete. I sailed when I was in high school, and I danced.
That's okay. Oh, that's still competitive. That's an athlete.
No, nothing right now though. I wanted to sail in college, but never worked out.
No, that's okay. But literally, like, you should be proud of what you're doing. This is really cool. I think it's so important to share lots of people's stories. So thanks for playing your part. Appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. I'm glad we got to do it.
Bye.
Bye.